So a lot of people these days want to have a universal basic income, meaning every month the government will pay everyone that's a citizen of the country $1,000 or X amount of money that they can spend however they want. And the idea is that this stimulates the economy, and it makes sure that everyone has like a safety net. If they have like an accident or something, it can be like a form of like healthcare in a way. But it doesn't have to be used on that. And then you have people like Alex Jones saying that it's a conspiracy theory to make people dependent on the government. And I can see arguments for either case because a lot of jobs are being automated away. But I think that what we really need, much more so than a universal basic income, is a universal basic outcome, right? So every month, every citizen will have a certain amount of money siphoned out. Now this sounds a lot like taxes, but this is different from taxes because taxes, we don't get to determine where that goes, and politicians often do sketchy things to siphon it into their secret accounts, or they use it for their special interests. And there are lobbyists that try to get politicians to put policies in place for taxes to get used in different ways. Universal basic income is a lot more simple. Every month, every citizen will gather somewhere. Every town will have these places, like maybe a building, or there'll be an outdoor place for when the weather is nice, where they can gather. And they line up, and they one at a time they approach this giant bonfire, and they show the person their money. Like the person holds it up, make sure it's okay, this is a real $100 bill, right? And then you toss it into the bonfire. And every month people are just burning $1,000 out of their income, or maybe $100. Maybe it'll vary depending on how much you make. But unlike taxes, there'll be no way for this money to be spent on anything like that's against the interest of the people. Like, it's not going to be spent on funding like just all these projects that like are against the interest of the people. It won't be spent on buying politicians vacations. It's like it'll just be money that gets taken out of the hands of the people and just is burned. It's just taken out of existence, taken out of circulation. And so we'll have these buildings with like all this special ventilation set up, and like big concrete floors, like kind of like a convention center, but with like a big like thing in the ceiling to suck out all the smoke, and then you could have a giant bonfire, kind of like Burning Man. And it'll be a really giant bonfire, so you could have people coming from all sides. So you won't have to wait in line that long. Maybe like you'll be in line 10 minutes. You get to the front of the line, say here's my ID, here's my $100. Person writes on it with a marker. Okay, this is real. Toss it into the flames, or better yet, maybe you'll have the option to hold a lighter up to it. Or maybe you can get creative. Like maybe they'll have different options you can choose from for how to burn the money. But I think this will be a good practice to help people become more independent and work harder, because they know, okay, like every month I'm gonna have $100 out of my paycheck just burn, and it's just going into the ether. And maybe we could replace taxes with this, or maybe this would be added on to taxes, but it's not gonna be the same thing as taxes. It's universal basic outcome. It's money going out of the economy. This will strengthen the value of each individual dollar by taking the amount of dollars out of circulation, and it'll serve as a way of kind of toughening you up and making you come to grips with the constant struggle, right? Because when we have that constant comfort of like universal basic income, we become lazy and then unproductive. I always thought that like if I just could like work from home, or if I could just if I just had more freedom to spend my time how I wanted to, then I would do all this stuff, and I would make all these video games and stuff. And it's true, I've made a lot of videos from a YouTube channel in the last year, but I really have become unproductive in a lot of ways and really lazy. And I feel that universal basic outcome will allow people to still have the time, right? Because you're not forcing people to go into work for 40 hours per week, as long as they can burn $100 every month. So it's a way of just making sure that people are constantly thinking about, how am I going to make my next $100? What's my next business move? What audiences am I going to start targeting? What kind of business am I going to be opening next? I think we'll see a lot more small businesses opening up when people are more strapped for cash like that, and they don't have all that spending money. And maybe we can have special months where people have to burn extra money, and it's like, or it's like you have to burn a percentage of what you make rather than just $100. And so you'll have a month where you have to show them all your receipts and say, okay, I made this much, I spent this much, and it was all on necessities, and the rest is just burned, and they'll do the calculations and say, okay, you owe $50, there's $50 you didn't burn. All right, you reach into your pocket, and it has to be cash, because we want to make sure that this money is destroyed and just physically eliminated from existence, and you're not going to see it resurface in any way. There's not going to be any hacks. It'll be like an election, with paper ballots, and we'll have people there to facilitate it and make sure it all goes down correctly. We'll have cameras set up and inspectors coming in every month to make sure that no one's pocketing the cash. Third parties, maybe even people from other countries coming in as a neutral party to just oversee and say, okay, that guy just pocketed that hundo, But yeah, I think if we have a universal basic outcome, everyone burns $100 every month at a designated location where you can guarantee that this is a real $100 bill, and you're really burning it, it's really yours, and you are really you. I think that we'll start seeing people become a lot more animated, and also with the increased productivity, people are going to be thinking more. They're not going to be falling for all these narratives that are pushed by the news, and I think we'll see a global uprising against these tyrannical governments. People are not going to be happy having to burn $100 every month. Right now, people are too content. They have their bread, they have their circuses, they have their TV, sitcoms. Okay, so what we need to do is stir the pot. We need to agitate people a little bit. When you want to become stronger, you don't rest your muscles, you work them out. You don't take a hot shower to relax when you want to stress yourself a bit to become stronger and more resilient. If you want to become more resilient to the cold, you don't take a hot shower, you take a cold shower, which also, increases your endurance in other ways. And so this is like a cold shower for the economy, for the people. And the best part is, these billionaire politicians or millionaire politicians and billionaire bankers behind the scenes manipulating everything, $100 is nothing for them. And so whether or not they find a loophole out of it, they're not going to be affected that much. And you might think, but don't we want to get money out of their pockets? Well, no, we want to give them a false sense of security, and we want the people to be getting stronger. Because if these billionaires are burning half their income every month, then they're going to start thinking, okay, what can I do to preserve my power and my influence over the economy? But if their money is mostly just staying the same and everyone else's is just being burned, and it's we have to burn the money in front of them, and to them burning $100 is nothing. We're the ones that are going to be getting stronger. We're the ones that they're going to be thinking of all these new plans. How am I going to get out of this tyranny? How am I going to rise up above these oppressive regimes that want to bring on this one world government? It's not just one world government, but it's one world tyrannical government that oppresses the people. And so I think a universal basic outcome is our ticket to a global uprising against that.